Bollywood movies, we fucking know to do intermissions. They do intermissions in the theater. Martin Scorsese, okay? Peter Jackson. If you're gonna have a 3-hour movie, put an intermission in there for small bladder bitches, okay? It's ableist not to.
Hello and welcome to Cleopatra. I'm Lynn Molly.
And I'm Christy Bana, and this is a podcast about two Middle Eastern comedy queens who are on an expedition to dig up the funny from the first generation experience. One day we'll stop explaining that, but for the first few, we're going to keep going. I'm so excited to introduce our guest. She is a hilarious stand-up comedian based in Los Angeles and a writer. She performs regularly at the Comedy Store. Please welcome Ms. Pallavi Gunalan.
Hi.
Did I say it right?
Pallavi Gunalan.
Gunalan. What?
Okay. I say like Norlands, like Nolan.
Nolans.
You know.
Gunalan. Gunalan.
Gunalan.
Perfect. I knew it, and you said it right before, and then I was like, don't fuck it up. And
that's the white in all of us.
yeah.
We're all like, no. I'm constantly worried I'll misspell my own name in emails. You know what I mean? And that's, what kind of example am I setting for everyone else?
I historically leave the H off my last name, which is M-A-L-E-H.
Lynn Mail.
Lynn Mail. That's how misogynistic this society
Internalized.
has trained me to be, right?
Or maybe it's just the elucidating how unfair the binary is and how we should be able to switch whenever we wanted.
Ooh, I love that. That's good.
Ooh, I advocate for H in parentheses.
Yeah, like sometimes Y, like XY chromosomes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes Y.
Yeah.
Amazing. Take it away. Tell us about the Pallavi story.
Back in my day. Okay, I am Indian. Okay, no applause.
I was considering it, but I was like, is this gonna
Yikes, only Middle Eastern when white people mistake me for it, I guess. No, I am Indian. My parents were born in India. My mom is Sindhi and my dad is Tamil. So my dad was essentially in the same area that his family is from, but my mom's family has a very interesting history. My grandfather was born in the Pakistan area before it was Pakistan, and then he moved to Afghanistan and had like some sort of like beans and fruit and nuts company that he like built up or something. He like left to Karachi when he was like 15, and he built up this big business, and he did well, and he had 3 of his 9 kids there. He had 3 wives in series, not in parallel. And his 3rd wife had 9 kids, the 7th of which is my mom. But he had 3 of his kids there. And then partition happened in 1947. It's not the Beyonce one. It's the very violent one in India and Pakistan, or between India and Pakistan. And millions of people died. And it was really bad. And so he had to flee. And we were told stories like there was like a 6 p.m. curfew, and one of my uncles, when he was a toddler, like wandered out, and he was like missing for the night because everybody closed their doors because people were killing people and stuff. And then the next day they found out the neighbors had like saved him. And then the story of him fleeing is my grandfather, my grandmother, and like the 3 first of kids was they had to leave, and my grandfather was literally holding down a door that Afghani people were pulling up to like slaughter them as they were like running to get away. But that's the story that's told in the family. I don't know how much of that is true. This is all like word of mouth.
We don't fact check here.
There's also rampant Islamophobia in Hindu families. So who knows? And then so they went down to South India. My grandfather had apparently like abandoned this big, beautiful glass house he had, and they went to South India. And then my mom's family eventually moved into the house that my dad's family owned in Chennai, and they were like their landlords since they were like in 5th grade, basically. And my mom's older sister had eloped. So her father was very strict about not talking to boys. And so my mom like didn't talk to my dad. And then when they were like 17, my mom's younger sister and my dad's best friend started liking each other and throwing notes to each other and communicating through my parents. And then they drag my parents along, and they'd like skip school, and they'd go to like dance dance, and my mom would pretend her ankle was hurt because she was so shy. And then one day my dad was like, the stars are shining and the moon is bright. Will you dance with me tonight? And then they fell in love. And then it became this whole thing between the families where they didn't approve, and they had to fight for each other's love for 7 years. And when my mom was 19, they sent her to the States with her brother for 6 months, but she secretly sent letters back to my dad. And then they tried to marry her to someone. So she wore like the dirtiest like sari with holes in it and like oiled her hair all gross. And then they said she was too dark for the arranged marriage groom. And then finally, unfortunately, my mom's mom passed away when she was 17. Her dad passed away when she was 23. So like finally her older brothers kind of like relented, and I don't know what happened, but basically my parents got engaged at 24. They got married. My dad had his master's by then. They came to the States. I was born in Lubbock, Texas, and so was my brother. I always say it's the worst part of Texas. When people are trying to guess, they're like Plano, and I'm like worse. And my parents like moved around a lot while my dad was trying to finish his PhD, because they had to start and stop because they like ran out of money, and he got this job, and then this guy fired him because he was getting his PhD and jealous and all of this stuff. They moved around to like Amarillo and Dallas and I think Corpus Christi and stuff. But basically my brother and I were both born in Lubbock, Texas. And then we moved to Utah when I was almost 4, and my parents still live in Utah. And then I went to school and work and stuff all outside of that after I graduated high school.
And Utah, historically not the brownest state in America.
As far as I'm aware, no. Although recently a lot of tech companies have bought up a lot of the cheap land, and so they have their own Silicon Slope in West Valley, I believe. And so there's a ton of brown people now.
Wow.
And like the lady who like used to make us samosas out of her house when I was a kid now owns like 5 restaurants. And my mom goes and watches Bollywood movies in like the movie theaters because they're like shown regularly because there's so many Indian people.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I've noticed that shift in my hometown too, because it's outside New York City, and now it just, when I was growing up, it was all white, and I've noticed a lot of brown and Indian families, and there's nothing better than seeing brown people being bougie. I just love to see it.
Do you hear that, white people? We are replacing you. Be scared.
That's actually the point of this podcast.
Yeah.
It's a big public service.
It used to be hosted by 2 white dads. And then all of a sudden.
So how was it growing up in Utah? I mean, is that even like...
It was weird. It was weird because I'm not white. I'm sorry. And also not Mormon. So there was like an intersection of the weirdest kind, you know, like how they're like intersectionality is when you're like a brown woman and also queer. But this is like the opposite, where it's like you're white and Mormon, or brown and Mormon, or white and not Mormon, but you can't be other things. So it's like, I always felt like an outsider. I got like bullied a lot in elementary school. This is like a stand-up joke I'm working on, but I recently had someone in like the summer of 2020, when everybody was like DMing their person of color token friend that they had. One of my friends from elementary school messaged me and was like, yeah, this is all crazy. You know, the first time I experienced racism was when we did it to you. And I was like, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience.
What?
I was like, this is insane. Like,
that's so
that
crazy.
I don't know. It was so wild. Definitely felt like an outsider in elementary school. Middle school was a little bit better. And then high school was like an inner city public high school. So it was more diverse. But it was still like crazy amount of Mormons. But I definitely had other friend groups. So it felt kind of like less unsafe, you know? But my dance school was like mostly Mormon. I was like the darkest person there for a while. It was an interesting experience to like compartmentalize, because I was compartmentalizing at school with a certain group of friends versus other group of friends versus dance school versus my parents. So it was kind of like I just spent my whole rest of my life, including in comedy, like attempting to decompartmentalize and to kind of like unify my personality and figure out who I am, which I think a lot of us struggle
100%.
with. Yeah.
W.E.B. Du Bois defines double consciousness as I know.
Okay,
I totally
lawyer. Wow.
Wait, what kind of dance? I have to know.
So my parents really wanted to put me in Bharatanatyam when I was in Lubbock, but they couldn't. The only teacher would come like once a month from a different town. So they were like, this is useless. Like, she's not going to learn anything at like 3 or 4 years old once a month. So they put me in tap.
Okay.
I did tap too.
So I did. My first love was tap.
So you were the only brown. How did it feel being the only person in class with rhythm? Is that isolating for you?
Man, yeah, it was so hard. Actually, like later on in tap, like it was like a dying art form at the time. I feel like now it's got kind of like a little bit of a revival, you know? But at the time, like when I was getting older in my teens, like there were so few people taking tap. They just had me teach the class. They were just like, just come and teach the class if you're feeling not challenged. And I was like, yeah, I'll do this. You know? So sometimes I would like substitute teach
Nice.
at like 16, which was fun. So I did tap, and then I did like jazz, ballet, hip hop, like all of the white styles that were available to me in Utah. I also did like drill team, which was like a competitive dance team in high school. That was crazy. There was like this party that like one of the moms like hosted that had like drugs and alcohol, but I of course was not invited. So I did not get in trouble. I was one of like maybe 6 people who didn't get in trouble.
Saved by the dog
Saved
whistle.
by the loser. Saved by being unpopular.
Then you were able to move forward into your illustrious future. So Allie, after high school, where did you go?
I went to Caltech for undergrad. I went to Carnegie Mellon for grad school. I worked in the Bay at Thermo Fisher as a research scientist. I got tired of that. And I did a few open mics while I was at the Bay. And then I applied for PhD programs. And I was close to going to either Case Western, Utah, or USC. I chose USC for the research program. But then I was like, thank God it's in LA. And then I started doing stand-up as soon as I got here. And then I quit my PhD in 2019 for stand-up.
I'm pretty sure when I met you, you were in school.
I was
getting
like
a PhD,
bringing like work to like the Comedy Store and like spreading it across the belly room, like counter.
Move over, Mark Maron.
I know. I was like, get out of the way.
That's amazing.
I was like, this will lead into my brand. People love a brand. I was like, also, but I can't turn this in right now. I have no Wi-Fi. Help.
What kind of like research was it?
I'm a biomedical engineer, and so
NBD.
And okay, lawyer.
Well, look, we're a highly educated, impressive bunch of ladies here.
A reminder that I have a degree in acting and writing. So
so you got a degree in the thing that you ended up doing. Wow.
Touche.
Okay.
That's its own brag. Yeah.
I do love science. Like I still love it, and I still feel very good about it. And it was my passion, but my passion shifted. But also, it's really hard to do like 2 things at once, and I'm tired.
So I wanted to ask, when did you have like an aha moment when you were just like, I don't want to do this anymore and I have to pursue comedy with more of my time and energy, or was it just like a slow burn?
It was like probably a year and a half of me like fighting it. And then some stuff happened in my PhD program. My professors weren't happy because I was like constantly like doing comedy and like not getting enough of my work done. And I had to like put all my like research together to kind of like show them what I had done. And then I like turned it in and I was like, I quit. It took a lot. And I had talked to my parents about it. And like I found like the email that I sent them, like making the decision more clear. And it was like so well thought out. And I was like, damn. I think I might have been more articulate before comedy.
I feel that way too.
Now I'm like, bitch, please. Like, I'll do what I want. Then I was like, okay, here are all my points of why I feel like this is what I want to do.
You made like a deck for your parents.
Yeah.
What was their reaction?
I Hassan Minaj'd it. I made a slide. No, I mean, they were like, they were definitely like nervous having to explain that you're choosing a life of instability and that you can't give them guarantees because you don't know anything is difficult. Like the questions they were asking about like how to move up and like how to, you know, get paid and all of that stuff. And then you're like, wait a minute, I don't know the answers to this. Were hard, but like at the same time, my dad was supportive in a way that it's not that I didn't expect it, but he said, you know, there's no such thing as wasted time or experience. And the big thing that he said to me was, what do we have to do to make sure you're a successful comedian? And that made me feel so less alone.
Yeah.
Because I feel like fighting these feelings internally, similarly to like how I am with my personality and expressing myself, is you think people are going to prejudge you for things. You think the things you were punished for as a kid are going to like remove you from like your family or like the friends you grew up with or whatever, and then you build up all these scenarios in your head about being isolated. And then when somebody breaks through that and is like, actually, like, no, I do like love you and what you're doing, and I value what you're doing beyond the fact that just you are doing it, that makes you feel good. So
And do they like your content? And
no.
Having said that,
Not at all. No, but here's the thing. My mom is hard to communicate with about comedy, so I haven't inquired in a while. She did recently make a Twitter and then say my Twitter was crap at dinner for no reason. Mommy, why don't I call more? No. My dad, I've spoken at, he's a civil engineer, I'm a biomedical engineer. I've spoken at more civil engineering conferences than I have biomedical engineering conferences because of comedy. Like and because my dad was like inaugurated as president of the American Society of Civil Engineers. Wow. So my brother and I introduced him, and then they had
with a roast.
Yeah, no, we had a really serious speech, and then my dad fucking killed his speech. Like I've never seen him so on, and like in the moment, I was like, God damn, like he was killing it. Like I was like, they made me do a serious one. Like I could bring it if I wanted to. They wanted this to be all teary and shit. He'll send me like clips of jokes he finds online, and he'll be like, look how clean this is. So funny and so clean. And I'll be like, your favorite comedians are like Eddie Murphy and Robin Williams. What the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean? You love those comics.
One of the things I did want to ask is, do you think that any part of being an engineer kind of facilitated or set you up in a way for being a comic or a writer?
Yes. I am great at Google Drive. Okay.
Yes.
And a lot of the organizational shit comics are very bad at. And they're like the putting loose papers in your backpack of children. You know what I mean? That's
so
what most
true.
comedians are. Me, I know what color notebooks my math class is, my chemistry class is, you know? And I think that helped me just be like organized in terms of like booking shows, getting shows out of town, you know, and like communicating with people, just showing up when I need to show up. A lot of the people that were in the scene when I started who did not have that shit together, maybe through no fault of their own. Some people have like undiagnosed shit or like other things they're dealing with. They had a hard time like keeping up, and I don't see them as much, you know, like the people that I see really killing it are like a lot better at that stuff or have the resources to have somebody else paid to be good at that stuff.
It's so true. I didn't realize until I really got elbow deep about how much is just logistics, organization, keeping track of like, who did you reach out to? Who haven't you know, following up, all that stuff. And
sometimes I get sad that I didn't start comedy younger, but then I had a 10-year career in marketing, and I feel like that alone has been so useful. So I feel it's okay if you start a little later and if you have other skills.
If I had started younger, I would be dead. They would have found my body outside a comedy club. I don't know who would have done it, but it would have been one of the male comics.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
It would have been bad. Like, I was thinking about that, and I was like, in 2 months into comedy, I was like traveling and doing comedy and coordinating it with conferences and stuff. I like the places I've been and the people I've been around and stuff, like I would have died if I was younger. Like I was not safe. I came into it so naive, and like being naive and younger, whew, it would have been rough.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, people are generally good. I was like, they're not like trying to hurt me.
The thing that's wild to me is the people I was so intimidated by when I started, and then
now you're like, they're bad comics. you're like these people are like terrible.
And the way you let them talk to you, like I let them give me advice.
Yeah, sure. And like literally like road comics would like be like, oh, you shouldn't say that, you should do that, like blah blah blah, and I'd be like, okay, I don't know, maybe. And then they'd go up and just eat the biggest shit. And you'd be like,
how do I be like you?
I don't, maybe they're having an off day. And it's like, no, they had an off career. Like,
I remember a male comic telling me not to wear anything with too many patterns or too flashy because then people would just be distracted by my clothing.
Yeah, I haven't listened to a thing you've said. So, what's your name again?
I don't even remember. I can't see past the straps.
Okay. People would tell you at the beginning, like, even like very successful male comedians would be like, how do you even like wear that and perform? Like, aren't people distracted? And I'm like, my jokes better be fucking good enough. You know what I mean? So I would wear like, I would dress down or I would dress up like in full dresses or like, you know, short dresses or whatever, just because I wanted to be able to feel comfortable and like move and be myself. But like, it's crazy the stuff people are fixated on. You're like, you're worried about this, but like not your own career or like the shit that's going on in your life. Man, put your energy into something else.
Someone who really inspired me fashion-wise was Atsuko Akatsuka, because she looks so great all the time, and she has such distinct style, and I think it adds to her voice.
There are people who like incorporate other things, and I think fashion is like one of those things, you know? It's always cool that people, I always appreciate it when people do that, but I'm always like lazy. I'm trying to be better now. My boyfriend's a sneakerhead, so now I have like way too many shoes. I'm like, what?
I feel like I do better and feel better when I'm wearing a blazer, and I have 8 million blazers from my last career.
That is so funny.
So
that is so cool. I used to be in a, like, before comedy, I had a blazer like phase. I think I was like all about blazers, and no one else, I wore them like jackets, and like no one else wore them, and I was just like, I don't know why. This is like when I wore a watch in 3rd grade. And I was like, I'm late for school, Mom. She's like, we're calling in sick today.
That's so funny. I stopped doing it for a while because anytime I wore a blazer at the Hollywood Improv, I would be wearing just the most non-professional thing with a blazer over it.
I do. Yeah, I used to do that all the time.
And people would be like, "Did you just get back from court?"
Like,
I'd be like, "No."
Yeah, he was innocent, and they put him away. Just something awful.
Yeah, I had to wear this low-cut top to distract the jury.
It was a case of an open mic comedian talking to a woman.
Open and shut. And now it's time for our question and answer portion of the podcast. Jesus fucking Christ.
Did
Every
you pull
time
that one out of your pussy?
Okie dokie.
Do
Time
not
for me
edit
to
it
ask.
out.
Your honor, did you pull that one out of your pussy?
Let the record reflect she pulled it out of her pocket. Her clothes pocket, not her other pocket. All right. Cleopatra embraced many Egyptian customs. What is a super American custom you've adopted, or a custom from your own culture that you just can't shake?
Okay. I don't know if we'd call this a custom, but I am obsessed with dogs, and I let them sleep in my bed. Okay. And I cuddle them, and I try not to kiss them, but
I try not to.
It's hard. Like, I don't like the wet on wet. Like, but I'll like kiss it. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's like the white. I always say that's the whitest shit about me. It's like how I treat my dogs.
We're
Makes
both brown women for dogs.
Yay. So. Oh my God. Is that an organization?
Yeah, we're starting it right now.
It is now.
You're the president. So.
BWFD.
Cleopatra and Mark Antony would wander the streets pranking innocent townspeople, which is very rude. Do you have an example of a time that you either led a prank or had a prank played on you?
Okay, can you first imagine, like, Joe Biden walking around pranking people? Like, that is like, weren't they, like,
isn't that called his presidency?
Shit? Yeah, isn't that called like what he's doing right now? So that's like that's such a power dynamic. That's like awful. That's like an SNL sketch.
They did it in costume too.
That's so wild. I'm just imagining her in like a Minions outfit, but with her hat still poking out. You know what I mean? So you're like, that's Cleopatra. Don't be mad. She fucked your husband as a joke. It was a goof.
They weren't actually pranking people. Everyone was just terrified, and they're like, laugh, play along.
I used to go to Caltech, which is like, it literally has a prank club, and they like, there was like prank wars with MIT and all of this stuff. I participated in a number of like stupid fucking pranks that took so much time and effort. The first week I was there, I just wandered down a hallway and they were filling someone's room with newspaper like all the way up, like shaking out newspaper and filling it the entire dorm room up. And I just didn't know whose room it was. And I was like, okay. And then I just started doing it. That's how I made some of my first friends. Then there were other times. Okay. There's this one house that we would make fun of for, they were like the sport house. And so, you know how like people who like play football or baseball or something, there's like homoerotic tones, but also homophobia, you know what I mean? So we would make fun of them in that way. And somebody in my house, dorm house, had bought like so many like blue dildo vibrators, like 800 of them or something, like years ago. And so there was just like boxes of them like randomly throughout our dorm because they had bought them for like 10 cents a piece. They like saw the deal and just like bought them. And so we stole the hammock, this like hammock from that jock house it was like the Fleming hammock. And like we took it from Fleming House, and then overnight we snuck into, I think, the physics building, and we used twine to string it up over the orange walk, which is between Fleming House and the physics building, and we filled it with the dildos. And then we said like the name of our house, been pleasuring Fleming House since 1969. And so then they were so upset and they had to like take it down. And I was walking back from math class the next day after having not slept at all, and I was watching this like really like, I just wish I could describe this person to you, but like this really like, at the time I felt like he was like kind of annoying or whatever, but I was watching him like try to get like people to take it down, like coordinate it, and then one of the twines snapped and it just showered dildos on him. And I was like, these like vibrating, and I was like, this is the most beautiful moment I've ever experienced.
Cinematic.
It was wonderful. And then there were all sorts of pranks. There was an off-campus, basically on-campus fancy hotel and stuff that I had like waited at and like been a server there. And they always had like every weekend they had like weddings. And they would have like even one time there was like an Indian wedding and there was like an elephant walking down between the dorms that was like they had like accidentally let loose or whatever.
A real elephant?
Like a real like an Indian wedding elephant, which by the way a lot of people in India don't do. Like it's a very American Indian thing to be like, let's get an elephant. But so there were all these weddings. So one night we knew that there was a wedding, so me, 2 white friends and 1 East Asian friend crashed the wedding. Like we got dressed up and just went to the wedding and just like attended it. And we get in there and I was like, oh no, because it was half white and half East Asian and I was the only brown person. So people were like, who do you know? And I couldn't be like the whites or the East Asians. And then like at some point we were all like circled up because it was like the reception, we were all dancing and having fun. And then it got to like a song like Somewhere Over the Rainbow or something, and it was like everybody was like huddled in like a circle, and I was like, this feels like it's in memory of someone and I have to get out of here. Like I gotta go. So we left, but it was fun.
You don't have to know who they are.
We don't have to know. Yeah.
You know?
Next question. Cleopatra and Mark Antony had their own drinking club called Inimitable Livers, where they'd go on wine binges and have feasts. Tell us about a club you started or belonged to, or currently belong to, or alternatively, tell us about your own inimitable liver.
I, in high school, started a Desi club.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
You were the only member?
No. We had, okay, so my plan for my Desi club was that it would be Bollywood movies and snacks. And then we danced at like the talent show or dance show or whatever that year. And it was really cool. But so we would just like, I had to get an advisor to like host the club, like a teacher advisor. So I got my European history teacher, like the whitest lady, to like out of guilt to host this club. And then we would watch like Bollywood movies and just like eat samosas and stuff, and like bring snacks from home and just chill in like the fucking desks we're watching Bollywood movies in those high school desks after school. So it'd be like a 3-hour club. But then one time oh my God, I forget what movie it was, but it was with Shah Rukh Khan, and like it was, I think it was one of the first movies we watched, and it was like about these two like couples, and they wanted to cheat, and there was like S&M or BDSM involved. There was like leather involved.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, Bollywood, before this I was like, Bollywood movies are so innocent, like they don't kiss, they don't do anything, blah blah blah. And then I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine, and she was like, okay. And then I showed that one because like none of us had seen it, and I was like, I am so sorry. It was like
the one
so
X-rated.
Yeah, it was like so much more sexual than other Bollywood movies, but it was really funny to watch a tight-lipped white woman's lips get even tighter. You know what I mean? She was just like,
It's okay. Everyone needs to learn about BDSM at some point.
Yeah.
In their life. Now or never.
yeah, the Kama Sutra is our culture. So
I like that. And then at the end, you're like, it's for the culture, actually.
culture.
And how many people were in the club?
it was actually a good number of people. Like there were like, I don't remember how many. I know we had like probably like 6 or 7 people dancing, but like a lot of like the Somalian girls, I think, came to the club because they like there were like Somalian refugees at my school, and Bollywood was big there. Bollywood was big in Germany. But like there were so many people who like liked seeing Bollywood movies, so we like invited them to like come watch. And also like my school was like so dumb in some ways. Like we had an Asian club that for all Asians, and like a white guy was a secretary, like 'cause people were like, this is funny. Like, so you know, it was kind of just like whoever wanted to come and hang out. But yeah.
Were there any like white men who are just there because they're weird fetishizers?
I don't remember in high school. I probably couldn't clock it as much. Also, like, I feel like growing up in Utah, like, there weren't, like, fetishizers like there are out here. Like, people just outright, like, said we were, like, gross. Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it wasn't, like, oh, like, I'm sexualizing you. It's, like, I'm desexualizing you if you're not a certain type of brown or something. You know what I mean? So I experienced that more than I experienced people being like, yeah, let's like hang out. Like nobody was doing that to me in high school. Nope.
As they hopefully shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I did have that weird experience where in high school it was like men wouldn't look at me. They wouldn't want anything to do with me. And then suddenly I got to college and there was this weird like Orientalism situation going on. And it was just like how did this just pivot so quickly?
Yeah. I feel like people maybe like leaving home and like leaving their families like made them feel like more rebellious, but they wanted to do it in like what they considered safe ways, which was still like them being in the top of like a power structure, in this case sexually. So that's probably why it like switched up in college or like as they became older.
Wow, this got deep and scary.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds like a PhD for an ethnographer.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
That's what, like, honestly, like, at a lot of our first facial rec shows, it was creepy white dudes that kept them going. So.
That doesn't shock me one bit.
Yeah.
Give us your money.
We were like, yeah, buy tickets. And then, like, there's got to be pictures of me out there with, like, a 60-year-old, like, just being like, hi, thank you for coming to the show. Like,
oh, man.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm like, who in your life? Where are they? Where are the people in your lives? There were a lot of like white people at our last show, but we were like, that's great. Like they were all down for it. We were like, we talked to like a lot of brown people to try to get them to come to the show to like, you know, pack it out and stuff and have it be like a big community thing. But there were like a lot of white people who were like, we don't know how you got the invite, but we're glad you're here.
Yeah. Well, I love that though, because I think anything, we were talking about this earlier, that anything that kind of makes people aware that brown people doing comedy isn't necessarily niche.
Yeah.
Or you know, that
like
it's
everybody
like,
can enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or it doesn't have to be all the time about being brown, but if it is, it's still accessible. It's still like relatable. You can still laugh. I think that's like one of the most exciting things about seeing how like you've done your show and like people in New York have expanded their shows and stuff. Mm-hmm. And also just I've been leaning into like the South Asian or like brown community a lot more, and like seeing like other queer people, like seeing South Asian drag kings and queens, like that was like so amazing for me and like heartwarming, and to be a part of that a lot more recently. I've been like really trying to put a lot of effort into like supporting people and going to going to even like plays or, you know, other things that people are in, just to try and reconnect. I've met like a lot of like South Asian dancers and models, and like I got to host LA India Fashion Week last week. Yeah. And they dressed me up. I'm going to post about it, but like it was awesome. Like I met it was like all of these vendors of like different like jewelry and dresses and hand like crafted shoes and like all of these things. And it just like, I don't know, it just felt so good to be around a community like that. And that community, like there are a lot of people who were like friends in that community for a really long time and like grew up together, had been doing LA India Fashion Week for like 10 years, you know. So it just felt like an honor to like be able to like host it and become a part of it. And it was very cool to see people in their 20s and 30s becoming fashion designers that put together, you know, American fashion with Indian fashion. There's this girl, Akasha, and she runs a fashion line called Namaste.
Love it.
And it's like sexy fucking fits, but with like Indian inspiration or like South Asian inspiration. So it was, I don't know, it was just like, it's just cool to see how like, you know, we're like owning stuff and it's not in a cringe way. It's not in a like, it's in a really like authentic way, but we're also like combining it with what we know from growing up here. So I don't know, it's just been like really fun to like see all of this growth in like other fields here.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I think we're experiencing a lot of that in the Middle Eastern community too. It's really cool to have a community when so many of us grew up without one, really.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I would have been in the Desi Club for sure.
Yay!
I love a Bollywood movie, so you'll have to, we'll put the name of that BDSM one in the show notes.
I started showing my boyfriend Bollywood movies, and he's like super into musicals and like theater. He's an actor, and I was like, you're gonna love this, you're gonna love this. And then he started watching it, and he like absolutely did love it, but he was like into it. He was like, come on, my guy, get her, like go get your girl. Like he was like so into it, and we of course took several times to watch it because it was so long and we were very old and tired.
Several intermissions.
Yeah, but that's what I will say about like Bollywood movies. We fucking know to do intermissions. They do intermissions in the theater. Martin Scorsese, okay? Peter Jackson. If you're gonna have a 3-hour movie, put an intermission in there for small bladder bitches, okay? It's ableist not to, all right? It's so rude. I'm like, if you're gonna take from us and do that, then let us go pee. I don't want to miss your movie. Yeah, it's good for all of us.
I think the only movie I've seen that had a built-in intermission at the theater was Lawrence of Arabia.
You saw that in
the theater? You are.
I am 73.
I was gonna say, when did you see that?
Okay, for the record, it was like at like the New Art or the New Wilshire.
I was in the
cast and crew.
Got it. You played Lawrence and Arabia.
Yeah.
I was Omar Sharif. Famously, that was my other identity.
Before lawyering, she was Omar Sharif.
This is my 5th act, you guys. All right, comedy. So,
wow, brown girls don't age. I know. There's also, I wanted to shout out my friend Shilpa Sadhagopan and like all these other people who are doing like Hindi, Tamil, English mashups. Have you seen like on TikTok? Like the music scene is so cool.
Nice.
Yeah. It's so sick. Like it's amazing what people are doing. I really appreciate the music of it too, because like I don't speak the languages. I don't know if do you guys speak?
No.
And like I want to connect with like at least hearing it verbally, and so like having like music that's like fun to listen to.
Yeah.
That like it gets the beat going and stuff. That's so fun. I love what people are doing on TikTok and Instagram and stuff.
So another question we have is that Cleopatra was a known seductress. Do you have any stock pickup lines or meet cutes? Alternatively, what's the best or worst pickup line anyone has ever used on you?
A white dude and I were talking about how white he was, and then it was a discussion in which I had a voice, so I was telling him, and then later he was drunk and he was like, because people used to call me Paul in college, he was like, Polly, want a cracker? He had like saltines. He was like, I was like, okay. And then we dated for a month.
Oh, okay. But it was a double entendre because
He's white and he had
saltines. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that there is a world in which white men are just walking around carrying saltines. Like, that is not even an
I think
exaggeration.
that's like their, you know how like Hillary Clinton claimed to have hot sauce in her bag? I think all men walk around with saltines in their wallets. Right? Condoms in their condoms.
That square is
Like,
not a condom.
It
It's a
wasn't
saltine.
Yeah, that square in their wallet is a saltine. It's not a condom. It's an emergency saltine.
So next question. Cleopatra was a queen of luxury. So what is one bougie item you can't live without?
Okay, I'm not a sneakerhead, but I've recently been buying more shoes, and it's not something I can't live without, but it's something that like is my world is like opening up. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my god, like you can like have an outfit together and then you look down and it doesn't crumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like shocked. So I'm trying to like do that more. But yeah, I've bought a lot more shoes since I've been with my boyfriend.
I kind of love that.
He's an enabler.
He is. He loves me treating myself and taking care of myself, and he loves doing that for me too. So that's like nice, because I'm always like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I'm always like, oh, the easiest solution isn't the one that I can do. I'm going to do this other solution that just like saves 5 cents and is like very, very difficult and like makes me miserable for like a year. You know, like that's like how like the mental thing of like spending on myself versus just like making my life easier and being happier.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I have a hard time like working out and stuff. And the solution that my therapist and I agonized over, but my therapist and I came to the conclusion to do was to join the fancy gym that's near my apartment that makes me feel good. And I like put it off for so long, and then I finally did it, and I'm like, I want to live at this gym.
Yeah.
It's like a spa. I love it.
did the same exact thing.
As did I. Yes, ladies.
Yes.
My big move now is no more layovers. I'm not doing a layover across the country.
That's
I'm a woman in my
amazing.
30s, and I'm not doing a layover to get to New York.
Fuck you, Colorado. Get out of here, Denver.
Ms. Chicago O'Hare, if that is your real name.
I don't know. I'll never see her again.
I do like that the Chicago O'Hare airport has rocking chairs.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I do like discovering like little fun things in the airports, like, or like I just will sit there and like look at the art that no one else is looking at, and I'm like, wow, this is a whole person's life.
The Oakland airport has some good art, and I was like,
They have some good bathrooms too.
oh
They
yeah,
have
oh
the
my
big
god,
stall
Terminal number
bathrooms.
1, where Southwest is, they just completely revamped it like within the last couple years, and it's the most luxurious airport.
We host our podcast there now.
We're actually currently in Southwest Terminal right now,
We're in
and
one stall of the restroom.
They have a recording studio.
Yeah.
that's the next wave. That's such a Bay Area thing where they're like, and this airport has a podcast studio.
Oh my god, they would do that.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley. Who angel invested in this airport podcast studio / bathroom? I want to shake
It is
his
Elon
hand.
Musk. It is Elon Musk.
Cleopatra viewed herself as a living goddess. Tell us about a time you felt almost supernatural or a weird, random, useless skill you have.
The Beyonce concert. Okay. I had my whole ass out. My whole ass was out. And I've never done that before. Like I went and I got like the shimmery thing and I had like this skirt, but it was see-through and I just wore like a thong underneath. And I was like, I can't believe my ass is out right now. I feel out of body. My boyfriend was like, you look so good. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then we had to like park further away from the theater. We like were walking and then there were all these women who were just like leaning out of their cars being like, you look good, girl.
Yes.
You look amazing. I see that ass. And I was just like, oh my God. And it's like a Beyonce concert, and to be like hyped up by like black women at a Beyonce concert, you're just like, I love you guys.
Worth every penny.
Yeah.
Did your ass make it on Instagram?
I did not post. I'll show you the ass pics after, but I posted like a side pic of it so you could see that my ass was out, but you couldn't see the full ass.
Perfect.
And it's my most liked picture. And I'm like, thank God.
That tracks.
I don't give a fuck about my personality or how funny I am. I just want to be loved for being hot. Like that is what I want most more than anything in the world. And so for people to do that, thank you so much. Thank you to my fans. Thank you to Creepy White Men. Thank you to Melrose for having the shops that had that see-through outfit. Thank you to my boyfriend for holding my butt all night. Just thank you, Beyonce. You're beautiful.
We reserved the last half hour just for your credits.
and then it goes in memoriam. You guys are like, what the
that
fuck?
ass, yes. And now it is time for a segment called Dig Deep. We know that Elizabeth Taylor famously played Cleopatra in the 1963 film. We want to know if your life were a crossover episode of 2 films or TV shows, what would they be and who would play you?
Okay. So this one, it's got to be Never Have I Ever, because I'm an Indian girl with an anger
Yes.
Favorite show.
issue. And then this is going to be fucked up because I don't like this show. But it's going to be like Big Bang Theory or something, because it's like that is based on Caltech and nerds and stereotypes and whatever. And also my dad's like, every time I see that show, it reminds me of you. And I'm like, oh no. So it would have to be like something sciencey. Also Breaking Bad, because he also went to Caltech in that show. And
I didn't realize that.
made drugs and stuff, and I also do illegal things sometimes. You're supposed to say cut that out. Okay.
We're keeping it in.
No. So it'd be something like that, where it's like Indian girl trying to figure her life out, but also science shit. And yeah,
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
That actually sounds amazing.
Okay, well, here's my pilot.
Yeah. It's under the cushion
like
everywhere you go.
5,000 pages.
You keep 3 copies in your glove compartment because you get pulled over by a cop.
By cops. I'm like, you guys got connections in this town, right?
You run this city.
Immediately mace me. They're like, no, not another actor, writer. Hyphenate, multi-hyphenate.
I mean, a mugshot is just a photo shoot, ladies. Everyone knows.
Mugshotties. I'm going to get on mugshotties.
Who would play you?
Who would play me? Caitlin Olsen,
Yes.
the lady who plays Dee from
Yeah,
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we share like a lot of like physicality. And my friends, before I did comedy, they said that she like reminded them of me. And so I feel like she would be really fun to play me. But I also, that would be me casting a white woman in my...
I'm sure you'd greenlight the brown face and it would just be all...
Caitlin Olsen in brown face as me.
I think it would be okay to clone
Yes.
genetically produce a combo of her and an Indian person in order to create you.
That's what I've been working. That's actually what I've been working on. It's like a weird crying baby that's all mangled and messed up.
Move over AI.
Tufts of blonde
That was
and
the
black
illegal
hair.
shit she was talking about that she works on in the lab.
They don't even have laws for this yet. No, I'm kidding. They do. They very much do.
We can have plum cots. I think we can have.
Yeah, a person is a plum cot if you really think about it.
I don't think that whoever plays you has to be your same, gender or ethnicity.
What about you?
You know what? I'll have to get back to you on that. I really don't know. I've never had like a celebrity look-alike or anything, and I think a lot of that just comes down to.
But I feel like it's energy, right? Like
I've been given Lisa Kudrow before, and
Oh,
I do like her
I
quite
can
a
see
bit.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a funny
She's
lady.
dope.
Yeah,
wow.
And
we
then-
really need more brown stars.
I know.
We do.
We'll take Lisa Kudrow and mix her with Rami's sister, and then
I love Rami's sister.
yeah, she's so cute.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emerson
on the
College
show.
graduate. I'm pretty sure.
May Kanamewi?
I think that feels right.
Nice.
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 Brown stars.
Brown stars.
So much better than gold stars. That's what we would get on our report
We
cards.
should get some brown stars for all our guests.
People were like, why are these filled with anuses? Okay, I'm sorry.
Edit that in. Edit the anuses in.
Add reverb.
Producer, if you're not racist, edit the anuses in.
Edit that in is so funny. Oh my god.
Put put it graphic.
The final dig deep question is, as you know, that Cleopatra had a storied legacy. What do you want to be your legacy, or what would you like to be remembered for? Alternatively, what is your headstone going to read?
My headstone is going to read, do better. My headstone is going to read, do better, because I think people should do better. And I think people should care about each other more and care about their communities and like expect more of people and have higher standards while being understanding and like trying to like communicate more. But I feel like people are so caught up in like their own worlds that they don't even think about like how to like help people around them that are like suffering or like across the world that are suffering or whatever. They're just like, throw up my hands, not do anything, walk past people to go to work, you know? And, or they think that however they're spending their time or their money is going to, in 10 or 20 years, pay off so they can help everybody. And it's like, no, people are like dying now. Things are happening right now. So fucking do better.
I like that. I stand for that.
A little clap.
Applaud for that.
For my like little soap stand. What is it?
Soap
stand.
stands.
I like any headstone that also doubles as a critique of whoever's digging your grave.
Yeah. First of all, you should do better because you should know I'm cremated, bitch. Okay. Do better. Find my ashes. Spread them. I need peace. Okay.
Where are we taking the ashes?
You know what? I want some of my ashes to go on a comedy stage where I bombed the hardest. Just so I could die twice there.
Amazing.
And then, you know, I'm gonna make my ashes into jewelry and force people to wear it. Just like my mom bought jewelry for me.
I want my ashes to be like instead of a tahine rim on a margarita,
yeah.
So at my funeral, everyone will be able to also partake. Yeah,
Yum yum.
The Cristini. So
That's really
stupid.
good. That's
so
really good.
stupid.
I will also say do better also applies to brown women too, because we're always like, I need to do better. And so that I feel like defines a lot of our life of like,
right.
Oh, fuck, I got to do more things. Yeah.
That absolutely tracks, because if you are the child of an immigrant, you have already been ingrained to know that better exists, even
And you need to do
hypothetically.
it. Yeah.
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 For the record, Ahmed Al-Qadri's legacy he wanted was all his babies with women of different ethnicities.
Do better, Ahmed Al-Qadri. Do fucking better, okay?
He had like an Elon Musk-esque type legacy there. It's just like, I just want the world to be filled with little Ahmeds.
That's how you know he grew up in an all-Muslim school. He didn't suffer as a kid.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm just going to fuck my way out of this world.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're like, I will have 2 words on my headstone, and that is it. That's all the space
if
I
you
will
don't
take.
mind.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the 3 of us who grew up like feeling out of place are like, no, don't worry, our bloodline will end with us. Yeah.
I'm like, will everyone adopt a dog at my funeral? I've actually wanted that since I was a kid. I'm like, if I die, everybody has to have puppies.
Oh, that's so good.
I also was like, I don't know why, but I think it's just because I love dogs. But I also was like, I don't want an engagement ring. I want an engagement puppy. I'm just like, I just want a dog for everything.
It's true. Just give a lot of very unwilling party favors. You're like, by the way, here, take a puppy.
It was my last wish. You have to treat it like your child.
At your wedding, instead of flower arrangements, you can have big puppy centerpieces.
Like all the bridesmaids are holding puppies. They're just like,
or like, you know those like Anne Geddes like puppies and babies dressed up with like flower headpieces. They're just holding puppies with the flowers, and that
like
could
a
also.
Sunflower.
We've had like 18 business ideas in the last hour.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's pretty cool.
Can't wait for a white guy to steal this.
Somebody's trademarking it as we speak, trying to beat us to the fucking USPTO.
Producer, edit in the businesses. Can you edit them in? Thank you.
She gave us a thumbs up.
Question mark, question mark, $, $signs.
Equals profit. Yeah, I love it. I can't thank you enough for coming. You're
Thank
such
you
a
for
goddamn
having
delight,
me.
Pallavi.
You guys are amazing.
We love having you.
We want to know what would you like to promote or plug to the listeners and viewers?
Yes, facial recognition comedy at the Comedy Store monthly. We're usually on the third Tuesdays of the month at 8 p.m. at the Belly Room. Just check the site at Facial Recognition Comedy on Instagram and everything. And then also just me on my socials, because I'm trying to do like more half hours, more hours, like headlining all across different venues across the country. So check it out.
That has been our podcast. I've been Christy Bana.
I'm Lynn Molly.
And I'm Pallavi Gunalan.
We really appreciate you watching. Please like, rate, subscribe, and follow us on socials. Until next time.
Cleopatra.
Y'all should get like a snake hiss for the outro.
Yeah, no, at the end, and then just everyone like, God, that's...